Hi, this video is going to record the topic for the Linux Snort. And the next video will record the Windows Snort. So there will be two videos for the Snort topic. The handout Linux Snort will be for this video. So you're going to click on this Linux Snort .docx and download it. And click here for download, or you can just view it here. But once, or you can just view it with all the detailed information here. And so we are going to follow the document to complete this video. Okay, so let me reduce that. Now, we are going to look at the document here. What I just did was that I used the Windows 2012. We power on the Windows 2012, and then sign on to Canvas and download the Linux Snort documents and open it on the side so we can actually take a look at the document alongside with the exercise. So I'm going to move this document on the side, and then of course, let's go through this first. The objective of this lab is to understand the file structure and also the installation, some syntax for the Snort sensor in the Linux environment. And then we're going to configure and test Linux host-based Snort IDS IPS sensor. We are going to show you some configuration that's crucial and very important to use the Snort, whether it's in the Linux or Windows environment. They share certain common characteristics and the location for those files, config files, and rule-based files. And we're going to also write our first text-based Snort rule, which will be triggered by the UDP attack. So this first page and second page, the document, it's already been entered to save time. For those syntax is for to install the Snort into a Linux box. And we're not going to spend time to enter those in there. And different distribution of the Linux and the different distribution of the Linux and different version of the Snort, you will have a lot of differences. So it wouldn't make sense for us to go through all this detail and spend about 2 or 3 hours for doing that. So what we're going to do is we're going to hands-on start on page 3. So this is just some basic steps that we install MySQL and add users, and also do a very simple ASCII-based Snort log. MySQL, of course, is a database log, so we can use the database to do more log analysis. We will do that with the built-in database management software in the Security Onion later. And to build those Snort ground up, it's mainly for you to get familiar with it. We will use the packaged Security Onion to show you the more detailed and powerful database analysis for the log analysis. All right, and so this is the page number 3. We start our hands-on Linux Snort lab right here, and there are certain locations. Again, I'm just saying that this is the important information that you have to know regarding the Snort once been installed. And we use this particular distribution of Linux to show you some of the important parts, the crucial parts of Snort. And of course, different version of the Snort, and it's been installed to different Linux distribution, it will have different file structure. Majority will be the same. The whole concept will be the same, but it will be different locations. All right, so here, let's go through that. The executable is in the USR local bin, stands for binary, okay? And the log file is under var log snort, and then we call it snort log. And if you roll back, you can see that, hey, var log snort log. That's how we create it here in the syslog.config file, okay? And if you're not familiar with those Linux structure, that is okay, because later on when we use the more of the pre-configured distributions such as Security Onion, which is one of the most popular distribution for those Snort or Suricata, the newer version of the Snort intrusion detection and prevention boxes. It's already been pre-configured for you. Okay, and you have to learn a slightly different location of the place where they put the configuration file or log file, the executable file location, the log file location, and then the Snort configuration location. This is like a startup config, whatever the operating system, whatever the software, for instance, in this case is the Snort. When it come up, you have to look at some configuration file, like the parameters that is going to execute. And the rules is what we are going to compare and see if it can trigger with the packet coming in. Snort is like a packet analyzer. So all the packet coming in is going to analyze it and see if it matches the rule. And as we mentioned before, the intrusion prevention system, it has quite a few different flavors. One is the rule matching, and then we have also meta-based rule matching. We also have baseline-based. So they have a few different flavors. Baseline-based, we call it anomaly, right? Analysis. So that's in our introductions. And later on, we're going to revisit those subjects. So we also create a user called Snort, and that's been used to start a Snort services. It's a good idea not to use the root, the most powerful user, to start it, the services. So first, we're going to power on VMware, the internet firewall. So you have access to the internet. The reason why we want to have access to the internet is for the Windows 2012 R2 to be able to download this document and also download UDP flood, which is the test file. All right, and we're also going to power on Linux, Snort Linux. Right, and then at the Linux, we're going to log in as username root and password is password. And then we're going to go through this in the video. Okay, so I'm going to put this document on the side. And when you watch the video, you should also have the document open in some place or print it out to make it easier to relate. So now, as you can see, this one already been powered on, the internet firewall, and the pfSense net is to translate your Windows to both your Windows 2016, which Windows 2016 is not needed in this exercise. So you don't have to power on Windows 2016. You do, however, need a Windows 2012, and you also need this Windows Linux Snort. So I'm going to right click here, and then of course you have to take the ownership and right clicked. Now we are going to power on, start up the guest. And you can say copy or move it. So it happened to all of them. Okay, so 2016, I really don't need it for this particular exercise. So I'm going to just power it on. Okay, so just make sure that you have Windows 2012 R2 is up, and then you have the Snort Linux up, and you have the pfSense net, and also have the Internet FW firewall up. And in the Windows 2012, then you will make sure that you have we have logged in to the canvas, so you can download this document that I was talking about, and also you can also download in here. Um, you're going to go to, let me go back here one more time, and under the week we have one of those UDP flood. You're going to click here and download. If it tells you that, it's going to tell you in here. So when we are going to download it, it's going to tell you that this type of file can hurt your system. Do you want to keep it or not? Because it's a vulnerability assessment tool. So it's not a virus, but then it will give you a warning, and you're going to say, yes, I want to keep it. Okay. Otherwise, you can't complete the exercise. So it will be done. It will be downloaded. So after these two things, the document and the UDP flood.exe been downloaded, we pretty much finished with this internet access. Okay, so in the Linux Snort, we are going to sign on first. Then we're going to go to the Linux Snort, click that. And as the document has mentioned that the username is root, all right, and the password is password, all lowercase. So once you sign on, the document tells you that you are first, I'm going to deviate it a little bit from the document. You go to your terminal here and double click. This is your command prompt. And if you do an ifconfig, not ipconfig, okay? Ifconfig is Linux equivalent of ipconfig. And you can see nothing there. You see, there's a local, there's a, the loopback, no, loopback is a local link. So your Ethernet 0 is not even there. So we have to fix that. Now let's put it on the side. So reduce it. And the document tells you that you are going to click on the applications here. And then you're going to the system tools. And then you go to the network. Actually, system settings, okay? In the system settings, and then there's a network here. So let me just stop here really quick. So you're going to click on system settings, and you're going to click the network. System tool is just one item below. We're not going to do that today. We're just going to look at system settings and network, and it's in your document. So we click on that. We'll try to fix the no network issue. So in this, you can see this inactive here. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on the edit, okay? Edit, and then you're going to go to the hardware device. The IP is already put in correctly for you. Okay, 10.01.4 is supposed to show that your Ethernet 0 is 10.01.4, but it didn't, okay? Default gateway is 10.0.1.1, which is the pfSense, okay? So now we're going to click on the hardware device. And then you see that this is 355B. That's when I install it. It's the MAC address that I have. But when you import it into the VM, it's different. So you have to prop it. Once you prop it, it got the updated MAC address. And then you can say, okay, on that. So after that, we're going to move on to go ahead and activate that. So you click on activate. And you're going to say, yes, you want to save it. You have to make, you already make some change. You have to save it first. And then okay. All right. So once it's okay, you can see that it's become active now. So once it's active and fine, we can do a file and we can quit. Okay, we exit it out. It's been, the step has been documented as well in your document. So now let's go back to this terminal. Now, if you do another ipconfig, ifconfig, I'm sorry. Now you can see that you have Ethernet 0 available in here now. And to test that out, we can actually, in the document, ask you to test to ping, P-I-N-G, 10.0.1.12, which will be the window box. And if you don't use the one I have in the document, I say -C4 continuously 4 times. If you do that, it will ping 4 times and it will stop. But if you don't use the -C-4, just ping it, it's going to take forever, okay, until the end of phase, I guess. So you have to Control C it until you have to do Control C. Otherwise, it will just keep doing it, which is not good. So we have one of this terminal. We already used that to fix the IP addresses of the Ethernet 0 interface. If you want to move your this time in this Linux, if you want to move the mouse in and out, because the extension already installed, you don't have to press the Control Alternate key together. Okay, you can just go ahead and move it out. And now, if we take a look at the document here, and to find out what's the next step here, we already finished all the way here. See, we already tried to ping it, and it worked. Okay, so then what we're going to do is we're going to enter also the foreign command. We're going to go there to take a look at what is the snort.config file, because that's the configuration file, and we have to find out what is the IP address of the so-called the var variable of homenet. What is your home net that you want to protect, and what is the external net that you think is dangerous? So the traffic usually is come from external net to home net. Okay, and sometimes it's from home net to external net that you wanted to make sure that your system is not hacking anyone else. Okay, and there's also the rule. It's a variable, so we define one place where we can actually have various different rule files in that location. It defines the location of where you put the rule files at, and also what's the location of your ICMP. So we can take a look at it. The rule file, the location, once you find it, in that location, you can find the ICMP info files, okay? And then after that, then we will start the snort. And you can see that the exe file, remember, exe file stays at user local ban. So in here, user local ban, that's the exe file. That's why you go to // user local binary file, go snort, run the snort program with a parameter of which user running the snort. It's a snort user called snort. And -C means what's the configuration file? Yeah, the configuration file of the snort located at etc snort snort.config. That's the file. So, and then we're going to run the tail. Tail is a command to print out the last page of the snort log. And where's the snort log? Snort log is a var log snort. Okay, so the snort log is under var log snort log here. So that's why those locations are important. That's why I put it all together here for you. All right, so we are going to move this document on the side and go take a look at the snort.config file. And in here, you're going to go cd / and then it's at etc, right? So we're going to go to etc / snort. And then we can do a pwd, print working directory, to see what you're currently at. So we're currently at etc snort. And then you can do an ls list to see what's in there. And you can see that you have the threshold.config, you have the snort.config here. Okay, so you have quite a few files here. All right, and then if you do ls-al, then you will be able to see, okay, the D means a directory, okay? And without directory, it's the file. And then it always with the three RWX, 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 okay? So read, write, execute, read, write, execute for the individual user or the group or the administrators. A different group of user, then you will have different rights that we assign in here. Okay. Now we're going to go with go take a look at what's in the snort.config file. So in the document, I tell you to do gedit, gedit. It's been documented on the document I gave you, and you're going to type in snort. And you can tap it. You don't have to type the whole thing in, so it's similar to Cisco's box. So you can see that it's a pretty big file in here. And you can also use the find. I ask you to find what's in the var homenet, right? So you can go find, search, and find. You can say, hey, what is the var? Come in here, var home underscore net. Okay? And then you do find. So, okay, whatever has a comment here, that means it's just a comment. And you can define your home net as 10.0.1.1. In our case, it probably will make sense if you define home net as 10.0.1.0, right? Because that's your home network. We can find X. But in this simple exercise, you can see that we actually define variable of home net. Whatever you see home net there, we're going to replace with the keyword any. That means your home net means any network is your home net. All right, so we keep going on that. Okay, so that's it. That's pretty much on your home net. So you know the home net is any. And let's see, you also have the second one you need to find is the external net. So we can find, search, and we're going to find external net. Now, external also any, which means that in this particular snort, if we do that, it's because for testing purpose, it's easier for us to say, I don't care about which network you go to fix net, which network. I want to trigger the alert so you can easily see the alert. Otherwise, you have to define from a home net to the external net or from the external net to the home net, then it will trigger. That makes it a little bit more useful, but however, more sophisticated to set it up. So we actually only have one network. That's why we can't even distinguish that unless you have to be very specifically say, okay, the 2012 is external net, and the snort in this Linux snort box is the home net. So from external net to home net, then we will trigger. That is, in reality, you want to do that. But for the testing environment here, to quickly show you how the rule got triggered and the database structure there, it's easier to set it up this way, okay? And we can find what's the external net, and that's it, pretty much. So that's the second question in bullet number 2.f, like Frank. I asked you to find out those, find out the IP address is actually any IP address is home net, any IP address is external net. And then find the location of ICMP info rule. That I don't have to use the find command. You can find it, but it basically, let's do it then. Search, and then you can find, and you will say ICMP dash info. I hit enter, and you can do find, and you can see, oh, okay, that's good enough. And you can see that include $rule path ICMP info. That means whatever the variable here represents, okay? And I have a file called ICMP-info rule. So what is the rule file, rule path? So let's find it. Search, find, and rule path. Okay, let's find the rule path. And let's keep finding it. So all those all those files, we have the variable in the front. So all those files in the rule, but then how do we replace the $rule underscore path? Which one is it? So if you take a look at this one, we can see that in your document here, I did tell you that the rule is located here. So it's under the rules are located etc snort rule. Okay. So etc snort rules. So let's take a look at it. Let's go to the top. Okay, let's close this for now. And let's just go to the top, drag it up to the top, and then we are going to find it because it was defined on the top. So find that. Well, sure enough, we found it. You see there's no comment, no pound sign in the front. Um, okay, so here, when we want to use the variable of the home net that's defined, we will put dollar sign in the front. Okay, so like this, var, whatever this one is, we're going to replace the dollar sign in the front means we're going to replace the home net with the keyword of the ending. So if we want to find the path, then we have to without the dollar sign in front. So what we will do is we're going to search and we're going to find the rule path. So then when we do a find next, and you can see that, okay, so actually the rule path is under etc snort rules. So if we go to the end of this snort.config file, and you can see that, all right, oh, the rules here, all the rules here, you're going to replace the dollar sign rule path with the etc snort rule. Okay, so it's under etc snort rule, you're going to see that. We can verify that by taking a look at the location of that. So I think that's the last thing we want to find is that one. So in here, we want to find out where the ICMP info rule. It should be under the etc snort rules. Okay, so this is the information I want you to find in this snort.config file here. So now we are going to go out, finish that off, click on file, and quit. And let's don't save it, okay? Okay, so we already out of there. Now let's take a look at where the rule file is. We can do PWD to find out where we were at. We are at etc snort, right? So then you can see we have something called rules here. So we're going to cd rules ls. There are quite a few of those rule files. And you can see that they are ICMP dash info rules here, right? And then it's also been activated. The rule here doesn't mean that it's already been activated. You can put a pound sign in the front of your snort.config file to comment it out if it doesn't apply to your environment, okay? All right, so what we're going to do is we are going to manually activate. We're going to run the snort and we're going to run the tail. And then we are going to ping it from 2012 and see if someone ping you, you will fire the alert. You will log it because that's what we define in the ICMP info rule to tell them that, hey, if someone pings you, let's go ahead and activate that. So you are going to make sure that you keyed it in, and then later on we're going to make a batch of the command, so you don't have to key it in all the time. It's under /usr under local and bin. That's the folder, right? USR local bin. Snort is the exe file, and we log in as a user. Snort and use config file. Location is etc and snort and snort.conf. We run that. And so, okay, so good. It's running now. We're going to open another console, and we're going to take a look at the log file. The log file, we call it tail. Oops. You have to go here and say, hey, TAIL, run the tail portion of the file location at var log snort, and the name is called snort.log. And then we already have something already there, but we wait for it to here. Now we're going to go to the Windows 2012, and we're going to open a command prompt. Okay. Change me. All right. Now we're going to right click and you go to the command prompt. And in here, what we want to do is we're going to ping, P-I-N-G, 10.0.1.4, which is pinging from the 12 to the .4. And we're going to hit enter. And then we're going back to quickly to the snort. And you can see that, okay, you would 10.0.1.4, you got uh, you got an ICMP echo request and reply from 2012 to the Snowbox in here. So you can see that this is the recent one. That means your sensor login is working. Okay, so we are at the page here um, for the testing with a screenshot here. I'll tell you that hey, your Linux is actually working now. The Snort. Now we're going to open the third terminal and then um, ping yourself. So in here, while the Snort is running, we are going to move these boxes aside, and we are going to open another one, and you can ping 10.0.1.4, and you can see that the ping is working, but you don't see the logging. The reason is because remember you ping yourself or you ping your loopback, nothing goes out of the wire. So, and Snort is a sniffer. So there's nothing to be sniffed about for analysis. Therefore, if you ping yourself, you are not going to see anything. If you attack yourself, you're not going to see anything. And this is something else. This is not. See, this is from 2012, okay, with some different information. So some of those are scanning attempt from 2012. Um, Sometimes it's just a packet that's been sent out and it will be intercepted. Number one means a Snort engine, and that's 1917, that's 6. And if you want to find out, we do have the command at the end of the document to show you where you can find those the rule that's been triggered as a scan, the UPnP type of scan services. Okay, that's been performed in the background. All right, so let's take a look at that. At each terminal, then you will hold Control C to stop it. So we're going to stop that, and you're going to input echo space. Okay, so let me make this one bigger. You're going to enter. We're going to every time when we need to activate Snort, you have to punch it in. It's too much work. Okay, this line and that line. So we're going to create a batch, just like a window box. But we're doing it in Linux. And what you can do is echo. That means that echo means that type in whatever, spit in whatever's in the code here, which is a Snort command syntax. In between the quote, end quote here, space, put it appended to USR S bin, to the system bin, and call it mysnort2. Okay. And then you're going to do the same thing to create mytail2 in the system bin. So in any place, wherever you want to run a snort, you just type in mysnort2. You want to look at the log, you just type in mytail2. That's it. And before you do that, then you have to do a chmod command. Chmod means a change mode, okay? Change it to 755. 7 means rewrite, execute, rewrite, execute, rewrite, execute, okay? So we have a discussion board talk about detail on that, so I'm not going to explain this in here. Once you change that, then this mysnort2 and mytail2, the file, it become executable. Then it will just execute it, and so that your snort will run and your tail will run. For some to save some time, I already create a file for myself to demo. So I already punch in those details. When you do your exercise, you should do that. You should do according to the document. And I'm going to just use my snort and my tail, okay? And it will activate that. So then in the terminal, what we're going to do is we're going to test it out. We want to make sure that your input is correct. So without any error, before you continue on, make sure there's no error, okay? So I'm going to move it to the side and now come into here and Control C to get out. And then here, Control C to get out, okay? And hit enter a few times. For some reason, Control brick. If it doesn't work easy, you can just quit it out. And then, so it's gone. All right, so I can say my snort. And then enter, and then it's running. And I can say my tail. And it will be working. Good. Now you are supposed to use my snort2, my tail2 to create your own file, okay? And after we have done this, now we're ready to move on to the next stage of the test in here. So what we're going to do is we are going to download the UDP flood exe, and we're going to create a rule. We're going to punch in the rule like that. We're going to punch this in as a rule, and then use the UDP flood to go to the 10.01.4 as a destination. Any port you choose, I like to choose 444 here, run it 5 times, and then you click go, and it's supposed to trigger the alert like this because we use custom rule. Any custom rule start with 1 million. So we use 1,000,005 revision 1, and we don't care about the case as long as your UDP has the keyword UDP flood. It's a text, it's ASCII text, right? So if you see UDP flood in here, then it will trigger that. So you put down UDP flood space test and do whatever. You have to type something after the UDP flood because this program, it takes 1 extra character here. So you have to kind of put in the space in here for this program to work. So just type in exactly as what I did in here. So the test will be successful. So we're going to move on. We're going to move this one to the side. So this tool is working. Now we are going to type in the snort. We're going to update the rule file. So to update the rule file, what we have to do is we have to open the terminal again, and then we can go to cd to etc. It's in snort, and it's in rule rules folder. And then let's just hit enter. And then we can gedit again, right? So gedit local.rules, local rules, okay? So in the document here, I actually didn't show you how to do the CD to that. I just tell you that enter rule to the location. So you have to know, you have to change directory to the location and then gedit with this one. You actually saw the video before. We actually take a look at the snort.config file, right? So it's the same thing. All right, so gedit local rules and hit enter and tell you It's right here. Now we're going to punch it in, ALERT, alert UDP, and then $, E external, EXTERNAL, underscore, net, right? And then any protocol, and if it goes to home net, right? $, home underscore net, and any port, right? Then we're going to create a message, MSG colon, and then with a double quote, call it my local rule for UDP, FLOD. You can type in anything you want. This is just a trigger message. And then semicolon, content, whatever is in there. If it contains UDP FLOD, it could be anything, ASCII, as long as it match whatever the UDP program that you try to flood the network. And tell them that don't care about upper or lower case. And then ID number, we make it 10005. Make sure it's 5 zeros. I probably got one extra one, so like this. Okay, and then of course it's rep 1, colon 1, okay, and semicolon at the end, and then the close parenthesis. So this is it. Now file, save, and then we can exit it out. But then if you do that, it won't work. It's not dynamic, so you have to Control C, okay, and Control C here, get out of there. Okay, so I have to use Control break to break out of there, and then run my Snort again. And this time they will pause the new one, and you don't have any error here. It's good. If you type something wrong, then it will error out on that. Okay, and so the Snort locked my tail, right? The tail is okay. You don't have to get out of it. I just happen to get out. So now we are going to go to Windows 2012, and we already downloaded Windows 2012. Center control alternate delete. All right, and I believe I have this open already. So once you download it, you just double click for it to run. It's under your C drive. Okay, it's under the download. Okay, so it's called UDP flood. And if you double clicked, it's going to come up like this. All right, and you're going to type in, you're going to attack 10.0.1.4, and let's use the port number 444, just like the one I have on the document. And we're going to make it run 5 times only. That's good enough. And then here we're going to just change the name, UDP FLOOD space. What does it say in my document? It says it's a test. The rest doesn't matter as long as you have a space after the UDP flood. You'll say UDP test, then good enough. And we say go. So you can see that it's sending out 5 packets. Now, when you send out 5 packets, then we are going to go to the Linux Snort. And you can see that, okay, you see that the trigger is here? That port 444, right? You see October 7. That's today. Actually, we already have that. It triggered from the Snort engine, and the ID number is 1,000,005, okay, revision 1. And it's from from the 2012 box, and attacked 10.0.1.4.444. And we're going to do Slammer next week, and so on and so forth, built upon the knowledge we have. And this is the most simple form to get you too familiar with the structure of each location of the file, the configurations, and how do you run a simple test to trigger the alert. And we would then tap into a more sophisticated exercises. So you can see that you can see the alert being triggered on that. And this is the end of the hands-on for this Linux Snort exercise. If you run into certain issues, then for instance, sometimes when we create like slammers, then the slammer may trigger by different rule instead of the custom rule, local rule that we did. Then if you want to see, hey, how come my rule didn't trigger the alert? Then you can go use some Linux command here, find out which rule triggered according to your snore log, and then go in there and comment it out. So, and then you repeat the test. Then you can see if your rule really got fired up or not, okay? And then you don't want to, if you wanted to minimize the number of the alert being fired up, if you got UDP flag 1 million times, you don't want to fire up the alert 1 million times. So you can actually put a threshold into it. And then the rest of them is just for you, the document for you to read and as references only. You don't have to do that. Okay. So this is summarized and completed our Snort introduction in the Linux environment. Just be aware that later on we're going to deal with Snort in the pfSense, Snort in the security onion, and the structure will be different. But the principle and idea and the snore log and the rule writing is exactly the same. Okay.